Murphysboro City Council here on this Tuesday, January the 22nd at about 6:05 p.m. As usual, I ask that we would all rise. I do not see Pastor Pete Hankins with us here. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and thank you for this opportunity to come together as a community and as residents and interested parties to consider the matters before us tonight. We're just so thankful that we live in a country where we can meet like this publicly and discuss the matters before us, and we pray that it be your will that would guide us to the proper solution in all these challenges that we face. We pray this in your holy name. Amen. Amen. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge. Please call the roll.
I will. Alderman Hughes. Alderman Terry Whitsmith. Here. Alderman Brown.
Here.
Alderman Voss.
Here.
Alderman McComb.
Here.
Alderman Urvis.
Here.
Alderman Bratton.
Here.
Alderman Bastian.
Here.
Alderman Campos. Alderman Pittman.
Here.
Mayor Stevens.
Here. Thank you, Clerk Hunziker. We have on our agenda this evening, of course, the consideration of council minutes from January the 8th, included in your packet, and I entertain any questions or amendments to the minutes at this time. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, the consideration of the accounts payable registers. There was another one handed out directly before the meeting, list 741 and 740. I'll entertain any questions on those. Mr. Brad?
You can get somebody else if they've got anything, or I'll get mine.
Well, I was just curious about City Hall. I didn't know that was, I assume that was an unexpected expense. Does anybody want to fill me in on that? Does anybody know? No? Okay. A&W Plumbing on page 1, the first list 740, $390.68. I already got my questions answered on the two vehicles on page 2. One more. That's all I had, actually. Mr. Bragg.
Okay, Register 740, page 4, on the J.P. Blankenship Incorporated. I talked to Mr. Shepard today, and he said that he would work with the city on this because he knows that this bill is going to be directed to Joe Capias, the developer on the motel, but he did need paid at least $4,000 to carry Holcomb. Am I correct on this?
Correct.
So if we could change that, said we could change that to $4,000 and then turn in the other bill, he'd be more than willing to work with us on that, which I think would be a call. On page 5.
And just so I can note that, Alderman Bratton, that was on what page?
Page 4.
Okay.
J.P. Blankenship. And that was for the end.
I see it now. Okay.
Doing the soil testing and stuff and et cetera.
Thank you.
On page 5. For alterations.
Yeah, we got new patches.
Pardon?
The department got all new patches. And so we had to take off our old patches, the city patches that we wear on our clothing and our dress. So we have to put all new ones on.
Okay. That was built for everybody?
What is it there?
Okay,
How much was it?
$81.
From Silk Farm, or wherever he bought them from.
Okay.
That was, we had all with the
All right. I didn't even know anything about the patches, but I mean, that's why it belongs in the budget, but I just wondered if that was just for one person going on.
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Murphy. Bear with me. Page 10. The freight for probes, what are the probes? Are those the water meter things, or are those the stockers from the food department, or what are they? 540.
That's parts for the wastewater, the lift station at the wastewater plant.
Okay, all right. And I think the one that was handed out this evening, both of them, I think I was okay with those, that's all I had, Mayor.
Any other questions on the bills? All right, I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills with the one adjustment on the Blankenship bill.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to our committee and commission reports. Up first, Budget and Finance, chaired by Mr. W.J. Pittman. W.J.?
Thank you, Mayor. There's no items under old business. Under new business, we have financial reports presented by Scott Evans, Budget Officer. Mr. Evans.
Thank you. those costs. Three. So that for whatever might come.
Contingency fund. and then the next and so we'll go back, you probably know what the question is. You just stated that we're averaging 1.87% off of our CDs, and the average of those two are 2.7% we're paying.
right.
I mean, I know. Talking real money. than what we're receiving. That you do a great job, and I really mean that.
Oh, thank you.
I think I've asked this before. Can we, I mean, we've had that street sweeper payment coming out monthly for how long? If we added, when that paid off in 4 months, if we added that amount to the payment that we send every month, every time on the backhoe loan, could we have both of them paid off by the end of the year?
We just ordered damage truck.
What?
We just ordered damage truck.
Even on our CD. Well, I don't know what, where we would bring that up. Bring it up under budget finance, but I'd make a motion, we pay them off. $1,000 is a lot of money to me. I don't think there's anybody in here that wouldn't take $1,000, somebody wrote them a check. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, okay.
Jim can correct me, aren't we actually seeing the return on replacing that water line for the loss of water? No good deed goes unpunished.
12% or something like that, wasn't it?
Yep, yeah. Absolutely, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any more questions at this time? All right, that's the only item under new business. Any
And that takes us to building and grounds, chaired by Gary McCall. Gary?
Well, on the old business, discussing, everybody got a copy of the
I'm sure of that.
some of them, I don't think you're gonna wanna sell, the old river along 17th Street. Right here, I don't think you're gonna want to sell that, but I go back and look at the rest of it. 2126 Lingle Avenue, several months back. The Well Street property, we had two houses we tore down there, and I think, if I remember right, we traded one of the properties from Mark Kennedy on ground west of the home area down, that's when we extended it.
Is that listed
I was
there?
have to go out and look at these. Some of them is not gonna be, you probably not gonna be able to sell the stuff with anyway, because they're down on the river.
Yeah, Plum Street goes to a good example of that. Does the city attorney wanna, is this the agenda item where we wanna address the new process also, Gary?
Well, I guess, if we get it, we have to discuss what Richard brought up for us, because if we get a chance to get rid of these, we need to not let somebody change their mind and sell them. We would set it asking price for $600, I think, before. If we couldn't get that, we'll go to mow the own public. If somebody wanted for that. And a lot of these properties have been listed once. I know some of them on there I've seen been listed. 22, 19, and 2111 was listed, I'm sure, of them before. But Rich, I think everybody got a copy of what Richard drawed up. We want to, Richard just adopt it the way we got it wrote.
Dealing with the and as we've discussed, and we've to give that in the city jumped out. if so it gives the authority to make that in a formal process. In the legal part, instead that if we go we before, and we put in requirements. What the city council wanted to do. We just got so any questions?
Well, I think, first I want to thank Alderman McComb for really continuing the focus on, trying to get this process reworked, because I think it certainly is things better and give us a more flexible approach to these properties, and our, I think, law firm, we trust has done a good job in drafting it. I have no issue with us adopting it as presented to the council this evening.
I'll make that a motion to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I know on some of these, like this one, 500 North 7th Street and Poplar Street, and that half a lot.
Yes.
The church owns half and we own half, or just own one?
No, they own the parking lot behind it, actually. I'm not even sure where the half a lot came from.
Yeah, that's the one we were gonna use for the water.
Oh, I remember.
But, you know, we just, I know maintain cost us over $600 a year. I thought we run around with two guys mowing and picking up stuff, you know. It don't take long to do that, $600 that we're going to be trying to get out on. The only thing I can do now is try to locate him and see if anybody there do the side, and just ask them the question, you know, the paperwork or something to sign if they're interested or they're not, and then bring it back to the council.
I'll try to remember to help you, Gary, with that. I can get on the county website and I can, you know, to some extent.
Did we determine as a council what we're gonna ask for these so that you've got a guideline to go back?
We went with that $600, I believe.
That's what I thought it was. I mean, I just want to make sure that everything's simplified.
Yeah, it was, that's what we just set the price at $600, and if, person either side wants them, then we can always get Mr. Folger or whoever wants to get the mower on for them for a couple of years and everything in profit.
If I can make a suggestion, if somebody wants one of these lots, before we just flat tell them no, I'd be open to looking at all offers.
Well, yeah.
It's 600.
Well, we got a standard offer on the 2126 Lindell, and I haven't talked to that lady. She owns apartments on the corner, and then there's this lot, and then I live in the next place, so I can't have anything to do with it.
No, I understand that.
And that's all under the old business. And I had this put under the new business. I have had some complaints down in my area about the garbage truck being so big and can't make the turns coming out of the alleys without getting up in the edge of somebody's yard and stuff. And some of them drive pretty fast, you know, coming out in them alleys. But I was gonna suggest that maybe we send the garbage disposal people, all of them pick up in town and slow their trucks down. I was gonna talk to the chief about that, but I'm gonna bring it to the council first. And the other thing, if we ever want to discuss any more about one trash service in town, with a small truck.
I don't know if we want to discuss it anymore. I continue to be a supporter of it. But, you know, there's a difference between supporting it now when we don't have people that don't support it here.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. The last time, we went through this, the people up to landfill, they were cheaper in the 5th year than Bruce was in the 1st year. I mean, it was going to save people money, and we were going to give them so long to go to a small truck. That was different if somebody's wants a dumpster at their house, we had it where you can make it easy wherever they want it. Dumpster now for home area. I know the other guys cleaned that couple of yards and they filled that dumpster up 3 yards and it was full, so I hope we had $135 or whatever it was to each lamb we cleaned up. But I mean, if we got service, we could bring it up and open it up a bit. But if we're not going to have at least 5 people or 6 voting, you know, we do. No sense bringing it back up again. I mean,
I don't know. I've been through that fight twice since I've been mayor, and I don't know that I just because I support it, I don't even know if I just want to go through the fight of it more than anything. I don't know.
You know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Financially, I think it's smart, but we don't need any more big government, not that Murphysboro is big government, of telling us who we have to use for our trash service either. So, it's a double-edged sword. I don't know. It's, and I understand somebody not wanting, you know, to be told, you will use this service for trash. I'm sympathized with him. No. And some people don't want it even if it was cheaper. It's the principle of it, so.
Well,
If you want to kind of put, I don't know that I could be positive on it. I think it's smart financially for the city and for the homeowners, but I'm undecided. Thank you.
Anybody else want to express their opinion on the council?
I, for one, oppose it. I'm not saying I won't change my mind. I would like to go back out and talk to my constituents in my ward. I will tell you, I've done it numerous times over the years, and it always fails. So, but before I would commit to that, I want to see what the people in my...
Well, that's why I said there's no sense. Anybody picks up the trash in town has to have a small truck.
Even though the mayor's in my ward, I won't knock on your door.
You gotta have a legal scale if they're overloaded.
I'm talking about the length and everything.
Oh, the length and stuff, okay.
They're already in violation.
Yeah.
We don't do anything about it.
Yeah, of the streets. If you're gonna like whatever truck, just gonna be used here or?
Every time now, they don't go straight down it. If there's a cross, edge of somebody's yard, they're driving through it. They don't care. So I can still take you down all around the parking area down there, and every place they come out, an alley going 21st or 22nd Street, there's a tire tracks, you got everything smashed down. And then it's our guys that has to go back out and spend the time and the city money to fix these culverts and wheelchair ramps and anything else that they cut over. But that's just something I wanted to put on there because we hadn't discussed it in a while, and nobody wants to go to one truck. That's fine to me, but I think if we don't, we should put the length and weight on the truck.
Cheese.
I actually am in favor of one trash carrier, but if I remember correctly, Alderman Home Republic Services, which was the cheapest, even after 5 years, cheaper than the first year of the smaller company, did say to us when they were here that they probably, even if they got it, would not reduce the size of their trucks, if I remember that correctly.
I think they use small trucks, and because they got the whole town and some service around here where they have to use a small truck. So it's
and so I said that they said if we had an ordinance that required smaller trucks, that they would cancel all of their Murphysboro people.
They would put a bid in.
Yeah.
At this point, that's what they're saying.
Well, the person could ask them, but if we're not getting any response on the one service truck, there's no sense beating a dead horse about it anyway. You know, I'm in favor of it, we're in favor of it, Mayor, was that Danny and Mike that's against it?
I'm not saying I'm 100% against it, I just don't know.
We have other council members too.
I was trying to be against it all there. I mean, it was last time.
Well, primarily, I've always said I think it's a good idea because it would save every resident in the city money. I mean, bottom line is, when you buy in bulk, you can deliver a product at a cheaper price. And so, you know, if the choice is pay more or pay less for my trash service, I'd rather pay less. It all goes to the same place. I don't particularly care who's hauling it away from my house. So that's just the way I've looked at it. But I also understand philosophically, you know, why you want to have that choice because of customer service and things like that. You know, like whenever you have one hauler, essentially, you know, you don't have a choice to say, I don't think you're doing a good job.
So then they go straight down now. It's coming here every corner.
But, you know, I don't care to have the discussion, but it's
That's one more question.
huge, yeah.
And it shows my ignorance, but I know that Carbondale has, and they're a larger city, and I understand that, they have citywide trash pickup, but do they own their own trucks?
Oh, yeah,
They
let's see.
don't. I mean, I'd like to see it go truthfully or be voted on, but I do have some reservation that there are some elderly people that share.
Right.
And they share the bill, which is fine, because neither one of them have enough to make it worth their while to each pay that monthly bill, and they wouldn't have that option. That bothers me some.
I think Granville puts theirs on the water bill, don't they?
Yes, I think so.
I think that's what they do when they're come, the trash, that way everybody's got trash service, and if you got water, you got trash service.
Right.
But that, people think about it, and I can talk to whoever you want to and come back, or, something that we don't have to put it on the next agenda or anything.
I mean, I'm not the only one, but I would think all the aldermen would want to go out into their ward and all their constituents.
But, we'll bring it back up in a month or so, that's gonna happen,
That's fine.
I think it'll rather be out knocking on everybody's door anyway.
Hey, Gary, do you have the details worked out on commercial versus residential, or is it every dumpster in town?
We had, what we talked about and was doing before, if you had like, your business, you had a big dumpster, you could use whoever you wanted. It wasn't just stuck with one service. This was more individual houses. Businesses could do, we'd have a different company that.
Properties with multi-unit apartments, same building?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
There's a gentleman that has a question.
I would like to pose a question about the size of the vehicle, the disposal vehicles. If you enforce the ordinance on the size of the vehicle, would that possibly push them to raise prices by having to send multiple smaller vehicles to houses, having less room on one truck?
I really couldn't answer that, so we talked to the company, it's a good question. Most of them, if they can raise it, they're gonna raise it,
Either way.
She was out, just down there between, off of Division Street and South 20th. They come down that alleyway behind Mr. Barber's house. Have to back up and turn 3 times, and they get up in those people's yards, and that's a mud bath. And now we're gonna sit down and put rock around down there again, which we do every year.
Wasn't it also the concern about some of our elderly constituents not being able to get their trash in, like to the street side and different things like that?
Yeah.
That was part of the reason why we chose not to the last time.
That was it, we talked about not letting them use the alley.
Yeah, that is true. Well,
We're not talking about that now. We're just talking about the sizes of somebody on track service. Maybe I just thought it'd be a good time to bring it up and ask. I don't know what kind of license they have to have or anything to operate down. Do they have to have a license?
Well, I'm sure they.
Eric, does garbage truck companies have a license to operate in town?
The contractor registration or licenses as a business?
I just wondered if they had a city, do they make them buy a city license or anything?
I don't think so.
I mean, we could maybe have a franchise agreement with somebody like this, like we do with, somebody else. I mean, if we think that they're truly damaging our city infrastructure, then we need to be, going after them for, the damage. And that in turn is the real way to get, a company's attention. They're saying, hey, the city of Murphysboro is saying, driver X is smashing this culvert down every time he makes this run. And if we start getting after them a little bit in that way, they're either going to have to go to smaller trucks or they're going to have to get a better driver on that route. I mean, that might be the best way to go about it. So,
Roll over our heads, come up with a better.
Mr. Murphy?
I've had both. I've had, when it was CWI, contracted them, come through, and then I had Burris. And and Burrs messed up, so I went back to CWI. They contracted Burrs to come back out and pick up my trash because that was part of their. Even though for and
We work with the Republic, and they become one hauler, they contract the Burrs and send them into town to pick up the trash.
yeah, and you
You can see why this conversation over the years has been prolonged, and so I encourage us to move on to.
That is business and old business, any public comment on building and ground.
All right, thank you, Alderman McCall. That takes the community relations chair, Mr. John Irvis.
All right, thank you. Got no old business, and we have new business. 2 items, discussion of Blues Brothers for street closures for Friday nights. We have a letter in our packet. Anybody have any questions?
Different this year, pretty well same standard.
It's the same, yeah, Friday nights, block party series. We'll have to come back together for a New Life for Life event.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have the date until I already gave you the list, so.
Okay. I'll make the motion to approve the request.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no?
No.
Thank you for being here. And the second one is from the chamber for St. Patrick's Day. Street closures.
I met with Steve Webb this afternoon, and he said this is essentially the exact same street closures as they have had in the last couple of years, the 5K, the day, of course. I certainly recommended that they at least figure out, or at least you couldn't name Chad anymore. But other than that, I think everything looks good.
Second. Any question? All in favor, aye? Opposed, that's all. Any public comment for community relations?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Rick. That takes us to public improvement chaired by Alderman Mike Bax.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business. Under new business this evening, we have a request by Debbie Jones regarding the Welcome to Murphysboro and the Gateway to the Shawnee National Forest project. So at this time, I'd like to call to address the council and
yeah, I wanted to come tonight. Thanks, Mike, for putting that on there. Just to get an update on the project, to see what, I hadn't heard anything, and the last we talked, I think the project was, you were going to submit a letter requesting money from Smizer Trust to start a fund. to build some seed money and get some money from the trust for a project for that structure that we, and I hadn't heard anything. I thought that the architect, the student, was gonna contact me when she got the plan tweaked on the structure.
Deb, you want to explain a little bit, because I think a lot of people have no idea what any of this is about. I know a little bit, very little. So.
Well, I had submitted an idea about something that we could do with the area down by where 127 and New 13 meet, and the mayor explained was pretty good because those buildings were going to be torn down, and we were, you were looking at that. So we had talked about, maybe being able to build some sort of a structure there that had some LED signage that we could do some advertising for the town, Murphysboro, for events and different things that were going on. And we went to, I had a Professor Turnipseed from the university's architecture class, did a class project for us that all the students built structures, like examples of something they thought would work in that area. And so, it was kind of exciting, but, and the one student was going to sort of tweak her. They only had a few weeks to do this project, but she was going to tweak it, improve it, but I hadn't heard a word. The last I heard, the letter was going to go out to Smizer Trust. I was hoping we could get, at least some seed money of $150,000 or so to get started on maybe some cleanup and...
Sure. Well, yeah, Debbie and I had both, met last summer, I think into the fall a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember the timeline. And we did, I did include some terminology, some verbiage in our letter from last year, talking about the fact that I'd met with you and that I had, heard your concept and that, we had started some initial work with one of the design groups at SIU. And actually that student who you were referencing stopped by where I work just maybe a week ago or so.
Oh, really?
And dropped off a concept that had been, like you said, tweaked a little bit for, potentially being something to think about putting there. Obviously the work and reclamation and all that is ongoing in that area, and the Apple Festival committee, we still need to, touch base with them because, of course, the sign that they had placed there, I'm sure that they would like to see continue to be there in some way, shape, or fashion. So certainly not, off my radar screen. It's just something that, and that particular student had also told me that they were moving to St. Louis. So in any case, that's sort of where it stands from my point of view at the moment.
Okay. So did we get some money, some seed money from the trust?
We did not. We did not. But no? I think that, a more concrete type of design and sort of cost estimates are going to be needed before, we could collaborate to ask, because it's very difficult to say exactly how much money ought to be requested and whatnot, because that thing certainly could be built at any scale. And so those are just a couple things that I had been thinking about. We did get some money from Smizer last year, but we didn't get anything toward that particular project.
Was there any explanation why we didn't get anything?
No, we never are really given an explanation as to why we get what we get or what we get or whatever.
Is that, I'm kind of surprised that we wouldn't have gotten something.
Mayor, when we did the request, was that included in the request, or was it?
Well, I may have, honestly, because I hadn't had an in-depth conversation with the council. Now, there were several specific things like, landscaping for the two parks that they consistently the concerts. And then I also wrote, I'm working with, Debbie Jones on the potential development of a different welcome structure or sign at this intersection. And I think that in, the coming year, that there would be a likelihood that we would, be requesting a larger sum of money. And so I didn't push that hard for it because I knew that this project of the redevelopment down there is still going to have months and months and months to go. So it didn't surprise me that we didn't get anything because I just didn't feel like I was really ready to ask for anything specific. I've always been, felt like I needed to be specific when I make those requests. So I apologize if I let you down in the way that I approached that letter.
Okay. Yeah. I just, it was just a dream. I just think it would be a nice thing to have something in that area that, since we discovered, or you did, that there's, how many cars that come to that intersection just from the north every single day?
Yeah, I mean, it's tens of thousands.
Every day.
4 million.
A great opportunity, I think, to, really build up our community to the people, because those are just Murphysboro people coming to that intersection.
Absolutely.
From the north. So it's just a prime opportunity right there that I feel like we could, really benefit from to advertise some of our events and just whatever, our town.
Well, the concept definitely has merit.
And if we could just get money from the trust, and maybe you had some other thoughts about, some other revenue sources that we could get. I don't know if there's grant money or something like that out there that maybe we could even tap into, but if we could just start asking for money from the trust, maybe in 5 years or 6 years, we could have, maybe it's pie in the sky, but I think $1 million to really do something nice in that area. If there's anything I can do,
sure,
just as a citizen, I'm more than happy to do some legwork. I mean, I don't know, we had talked about, I don't even know, maybe somebody here knows what property is owned there. City, I don't really know, but I would be happy to investigate if that's
well, some of it is IDOT right of way so far back. There is some city-owned property there. There's a sort of mixture of things, I think, so I really have to take a closer look at it and just refresh my memory about the ownership. But that is another one of those questions. But,
So did, Robin, did she drop off the 3D model of the final project?
A week ago Friday.
Was it a lot different than what?
Not a lot. Not a lot different. But I think probably what we should do, perhaps me, you, and Alderman Bastian could meet again sometime at my office, and I could try to get some of those, pull that file, so that I could have some of that information available and maybe better inform the council too, sort of about where we're thinking about going.
Okay. I mean, and maybe it's something nobody wants, but I just thought it would be something that every single Murphysboro person would.
Well, I'll get a hold of them there, and then we'll set up get a good time, and then we'll meet, and then we'll take it from there, but we'll keep it on the radar.
Okay, well, thank you for letting me come tonight.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for coming. Does the council members or anybody have any questions for Debbie? Okay, with that being said, we'll move on to discussion regarding the condition of the property at 102 North 10th Street. I don't know who asked that to be put on the agenda. If anybody knows anything about it.
I did.
Okay.
That was is rather, property adjacent to Paula Craig, this property who owns a salon, I believe it's called the Cuts of Class, and it's next to a multitude of properties there owned by, I believe, Mitch Murphy now and maybe his brothers. But those particular properties have been problematic for quite some time. They look to be full of, you know, a lot of different, I don't know what, and one of the windows is missing out of the front. And Mrs. Craig complains about vermin and other issues emanating from that building and causing her problems and making it difficult for her to sell her building if she would want to do so. She also says that she has a petition that has been signed by over 100 people who are essentially standing with her and saying that, you know, we need to make a better effort at getting the Murphys, the owners there, to make some progress with coming up with code. And so I promised her that I would put on the agenda and have that discussion. I talked with Eric about it this morning. Eric, I don't know if you want to speak to just the history there or anything of that nature.
I mean, John tried to do quite a bit of work to the American Legion. Front, I think like we were talking, they're storing a lot of wood. Gonna cut it down for something. I just didn't get back to it. I pulled out the files today, and I'll resurrect the demolition paperwork on it. I did see the American Legion does have notified the, I think it's Gupta, on the tax buyers on it too, so taxes are not being paid, I think.
Okay.
So here we go again, another big old building. With his hands.
Well, I would like us, I mean, at the very least, I know that one of those top windows is not boarded up as it should be on the western facing side, and so I'd like us to send a letter on that at the minimum, because obviously if they're not paying the taxes, they seem to not really care what's happening with their property, and so we should try to do something about it. That's all I have on.
Do we have any comments?
Can I ask something? We haven't discussed in a long time, and Eric, this is probably for you, that house down on 14th Street, across from...
South 14th.
South 14th, yes, across from Steve's house.
Shalomos?
Yeah. He had a demolition license or whatever, and it expired, and then you were going to start proceedings for demolition, and...
I did.
Okay.
After reviewing the demolition permit, I changed that several years ago from 60 days, 6 months, I forget back, to 30 days on demolition.
Okay.
It did not get put on his permit that way. 6 months it didn't put on.
6 month one?
Right. So talking with Richard, the letter has to be sent out to Shalomos, and I've already started.
Okay.
That stuff.
And have we discarded all those old ones that say 6 months?
It's how it's put in the computer.
Okay. Have we discarded that program the way it's put in the computer?
It's the person putting it in.
Okay. And have we addressed that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the Alderman? I would like American Legion building, so are you going to address a letter and send a letter out from the mayor requesting? He thought a letter. Okay, yeah. And Sandra, if we could keep that on the agenda for follow-up for the next meeting. Do we have any comments from the public? With that being said, we will close public improvement.
Thank you, Mr. Bash. We'll go to Public Works, chaired by Dan Burton. Dan?
Okay, under old business, update on the sewer main repair to the hotel site. As far as I know, the sewer's all been hooked back up. We've got a generator pulled out of there.
Everything's been returned for the rentals, generators back in, or the pumps back in the garage, and the sewer's doing what it's supposed to be doing right now.
Okay, so I would assume that we're gonna gather our final total bill on that and get that to Mr. Tobias.
Danny, what was the estimate on the first one? That was $75,000, the first estimate, if that's so right.
75 to 100,000, I think it was.
Yeah, I think that was 125.
It was 79,500 originally, and then when they had to move the main.
Correct.
The 79.5 was just to connect the two manholes that were existing, and then it had to be revised. And that's why the price was.
I was seeing the bill on it.
Yeah, it was like $129,000.
If we can gather all that information, Sandra, let's get that bill, because I don't know how long we voted tonight to pay Dean Bush that money, so we need to get reimbursed.
And we wanted to include all of our labor and stuff that, we've got a total of our labor and stuff that's been down there checking.
Yeah, Ken refilled me, he kept a daily chart of that, right?
That's already been sent.
That's already been, I thought we talked about that.
Yeah. We have no new business before we come out here. I wasn't downtown much after we got all that snow on Saturday, but I didn't hear any complaints, and the streets look pretty good, so pass it on to Darren also, that we appreciate you guys' hard work. I know it comes when it wants to, and no matter what your schedule are, you guys always rise to the occasion.
Yep, I'll be happy to pass it on to him.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the council? Public comment? Mr. Sturgis?
An update on, talked to the contractor today on the tree removal. What he really wants to do, he's aware of it, he wants to get started. But he's thinking this is about a 2-week job. And he wants to bring a guy in and get it all done at once. Right now, depending on what happens, the river's gonna be up in there, so, but he is aware of it. He said if it comes down to crunch time, that they will move equipment in and start right there at the road, and then move out as they can, but he would like to do it all at once. So
That's gotta be done before complete. April 1st, so. And I know you're gonna stay on top of it, so we really need to push that to March 1st in case we run into other too late, so.
And just one other thing on this trunk line out here, and we talked in the mayor's office about this, and I don't know, I'm just bringing this up because there was talk when this was fixed that eventually they would slope dirt out there on that side, put some dirt in there, and I don't know who's gonna pay for that or whatever. But I'm afraid if that's not done, and you get river coming up in the next few years, you're just gonna keep washing that with that current, and you're gonna be in problems a few years down the road, so. I'm just throwing that out. I thought that's what we discussed at the meeting that day.
So what you're saying, we need some good soil brought in that'll compact to build a kind of a dam sloped off toward it.
Well, where that bank comes in there, that needs to be sloped. Or when that river comes up in there, it just don't keep eating that bank out where that trunk line is, so. But, I mean, Harold, they may know more about that, but I just didn't want, to get everybody paid off. Let's come back with another expense that.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's gonna have to be fixed, and the proof's gonna be in the pudding this year, one way or the other.
Well, that's.
I think that's something we need to check with, and find out.
Well, there's no question there's gonna be, if the property is developed, which I still believe it will be, then that's gonna have to be done. I mean, because that's gonna eat their hotel out just as easily as it is our sewer main. So,
The river gets up in there, that current's something else, and it just keeps.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Mr. McCall.
On 12th Street, I guess it is. What's Simon's gonna do with that wheelchair ramp and stuff over there?
I don't know what you're talking about here.
That has got to be cut back probably, what, 20 feet?
It's 12 foot.
Was there a wheelchair ramp?
She said, that was trees. She said 12, but I don't know if that's gonna get in those big trees or not.
It's not.
I know it's a dangerous situation over there now for anybody with blind or anything like that, because there's nothing there.
There's no barricade for somebody walking, looking up in the sky, they just drop off. Take care of it, notifying them and having put some barricade.
You know, what they were planning on doing with it, or
Yeah.
that they made the call that they wasn't gonna do anything, the city was gonna have to fix it, or... There's a wheelchair ramp. I just want to bring it up and make it aware to everybody. That's not in my ward, but I drive by that quite a bit. Thank you.
Those cones, as far as I'm concerned, is still just a lawsuit waiting to happen. Perfect. So, I'd like for this, other than just cones,
Okay.
and it needs to be blocked off when no one gets hurt. Public Works, Mayor.
Thank you. It takes us to public safety, chaired by Mr. Russell Brown.
We don't have anything on the old business, nothing on the new business. Like the chief wanted to bring up about the vehicle.
Yeah, I spoke with the mayor and Mr. Brown today and informed them that we could move forward with getting a new vehicle out of the seized assets area. I think we roughly got around 77,000 in there right now, which 63,000 is spendable actual money for us for equipment, and we need to keep up with the vehicle program and move forward. Contacted Vogler Ford. They've got 6 extra 2019 Ford Explorers that they ordered, police package that they have on the lot, and that's the direction we'd like to move in and get one of those.
What's the amount of that?
It's just a little bit over 30,000, like 30,133, I think.
30,000 and some change in it?
Yeah.
That's good. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'd like to.
Is that less expensive than going through the other program?
It's the state bid program.
Okay. What's the difference in the gas mileage versus the Dodges you're driving versus that?
Imagine it being any worse because the Explorer is a mid-size SUV compared to the Tahoe or a bigger one. I would say that it would probably be better because the Dodges don't get very good gas mileage.
And it has a police package on it already?
Correct. And then we've got quite a few of the Chargers, and we kind of need to split that up anyway. And get some other vehicles in there, and these are a lot better for the guys' backs because when you get in and out of one of the SUVs, you're just lifting yourself up out of there. I had a couple bigger guys in the past that had back problems, and when we put them in these kind of vehicles, they were a lot better.
So you're planning on buying one?
Yeah, one. Too much out of that fund until we get more back in it, so mid-year or so we'll look at it again and see where we're at with the numbers in the fund.
Will we retire something?
Yeah, we've got with at least 130,000. And I think we got a second one that I thought of after we met today, Mayor, and I think it's got about 120 on it. So we do have a couple of them that's in, and they're both like 2009, maybe a 2007 Crown Vics. But yeah, we'd like to move forward with that, and it's one of the non-budgeted areas. But just so you know, we do, Sandra and I have looked at the numbers too, and we're thinking there's around 63,000 spendable in there that's not in an area where we don't spend out of. So we'd be in good shape to move forward with it.
All right, I would say proceed.
What's the status on the animal control person?
He's still, 2 weeks ago, said that his doctor believed he didn't need to have surgery, and as of 2-3 weeks ago, put him in physical therapy. He had another doctor's appointment probably in the next week from right now, and he'll be reporting back again.
Okay, thank you.
So that's where we're at with that situation too.
Any public comment? Nothing, a lot of public safety.
All right, that takes us to personnel chaired by Ms. Barbara Hughes. Barb?
We have no old business, unless anyone has some, no new business. Anyone the council wants to bring up, and public comment on personnel.
All right, that takes us in. Thank you, Ms. Hughes. That takes us to the mayor's report. I'm going to go ahead and handle the Martell's liquor license discussion here, even though I failed to formally get it on the agenda. I want to make sure that we accommodate our guests here and have this discussion, even if we have to wait to vote on it formally until our next meeting. We talked about it last meeting. Martell's would like to sell beer and wine. The church next door is opposed. The state law now says city councils can determine whether they want to allow that or not. And so I would first ask if anyone here on the council has any comment, and then welcome Dylan, who is with us here from Martell's, to address the council. Ms. Hughes?
What's the measurement?
100 feet, property line.
What is the actual measurement?
What is the distance between the two?
Between the building and where it's going to be served?
Well, I
Has
don't...
anybody really taken time to measure it?
I have not, but, I mean, from property line to property line, how wide is the street?
I think that attorney said last time that it's different for schools and churches. One of them is from the building to the place, or the place where it's going to be served, and one of them is from property line to property line, or something like that.
When it's a location of the building.
The building to the next building, and where it could be served.
Yeah,
would it be inside that building or the outside of the building? Not the place where it would actually be served. It would be the structure of the building. So we're probably what? 75 feet?
So it's structure to structure.
Over 100 feet if you measured it that way.
But if you went straight across from east to west, I don't know. But I'd like to hear his presentation.
Yes, I would.
Going further, we may have questions.
Go ahead. Sure. I think everyone has a letter in front of you. I just wrote up a briefing of what we were trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish by having a liquor license. We believe that it will increase our revenue as a pizza shop and a restaurant here in Murphysboro. We have no intentions of pursuing anything other than beer and wine. No gaming systems at any point in time. We strictly want to serve beer. Doing wine, I believe we'll just stick with beer if we are allowed to have a liquor license. I did speak with Pastor Fry myself. I reached out to him, and what is that the church board and the church itself could not give any support of us having a liquor license because they are completely against any form or condoning of any alcohol. He did go on to say that they would not necessarily oppose it if it was done legally and within the law and how the law is stated. Basically, if there is another way to go through the city council and do that legally, then he would not object to that. And he assured me that our relationship that we have would not be hindered in any way because of that. They do allow us to use their parking lot for parking for our employees, and we greatly appreciate that. Furthermore, I believe that it would be something beneficial to the city of Murphysboro. We're looking to draw in another crowd from outside of Murphysboro, attract more customers to our business, and I believe that it would help us compete with other pizza shops who serve beer in the surrounding communities. We have other restaurants in Murphysboro, beer and wine and liquor. We have a pizza shop down the street which is going to be selling beer within the near future. I believe they were just granted a liquor license at Wood Boys Pizza. So we're just trying to keep up with other competitors and go in a direction that we believe the business would benefit from.
We even got a church 2 blocks away, and you can go to the KC Hall and get, if you're a member, get a beer.
We just plan on selling beer like from 4 in the afternoon to 10 at night.
Yes, so our servers are on duty from 4 to 10 p.m. But the servers are on duty from 4 to 10, and that's when we'll be serving beer. So no sooner than 4 in the afternoon.
Mr. Urbis?
I don't know if you know, do they have, church like on evenings services, or is it all Sunday morning?
I believe they do. I believe they do have church on Wednesday evenings as well as Sunday evenings, and I know they do have events from time to time where they request we don't park in their parking lot during those periods of time.
Question, is liquor license, Mayor, for beer and wine the same or different? I know that, there's all those different ones that, I guess my point here is, he said he was more interested in selling just beer, but would it be advantageous to him if he presents it to present both and then?
No, a Class A liquor license allows you to serve beer or wine or spirits.
And it has an R behind it, that's because it's in a restaurant. It's a Class A with an R.
Right, and then, of course, you have the liquor.
I didn't want him to have to go through the skin if he decided to sell wine too.
Okay. Would not allow your other liquors, beer and wine.
And the comment on that, I believe that is just beer and wine. The license to only do that.
Mr. Bratton?
This letter from the church, as I understand it, so as a church, we stand opposed to allowing the sale of alcohol. I'm not disputing what Mr. Pastor Fry told you. I'm not disputing that he didn't say that. I'm just reading the letter we got.
Yeah, and I believe that the would oppose it as far as of alcohol. I may have worded that incorrectly.
Saying that I oppose it, but with our legal counsel here and not knowing for sure if it's from building to building or building to property line, I'd like to find that out.
Well, it doesn't matter. If we vote on it, we're making the exception of that rule, no matter what.
Okay, you're right.
Mr. Ross?
All I have.
Well, it seems as though that in the letter from Church of the Nazarene,
I mean, they're not necessarily citing the sale of alcohol at Martell's, they're opposed to allowing the sale of alcohol. I mean, it's a general statement about all things and not necessarily weighing in on the specific request, is how the letter reads to me.
Yeah, I'm sure if we asked them on every liquor license we did, to write us a letter, I'm sure it would read not much different than what this one says here.
Well, I did, can we even vote on this thing?
It would need to be on the agenda to vote on.
It would need to be on the agenda. I apologize for not getting it on the agenda. I thought I had communicated that, and I had not. And so, but, Mr. Urban.
I don't know how liquor licenses work, if he would sell a business and someone else would buy it, does the liquor license go over with that, or would that no business have to apply?
The new ownership would have to apply, because of course there's certain, rules and regulations as to who can and can't hold a liquor license.
Because I'm a little more concerned about any gaming coming in than...
Well, I mean, there's, and again, I apologize that we're not going to be able to vote on this. I'd like to be able to vote on it right now, but just what you brought up, is my also primary concern, and so, Mr. Pitt.
I mean, at that point, once we grant a liquor license, it's not up to us whether they can do gaming, right? As long as they meet the state gaming license.
Right.
And they have that type of liquor license, they can put them in there if they want.
Right.
And they could also put in a letter, a letter, they would never, as long as they own the building, never seek the gambling machine.
That's right.
You could...
Is that something we can pursue?
Currently, I do not own the building. I rent the building, so I wouldn't be able to do it in that capacity as the owner of the property. As the owner of the business and the rights to Martell's Pizza, I would be okay with doing so.
But the liquor license would be in your name?
That's correct.
Okay.
Then I couldn't put gambling machines in there. I think they have to go in under the liquor license?
That's correct.
Yeah. So if you made that guarantee of no gambling machine and a notarized letter, I think then we could make you stick to that part about it. But I don't know.
I don't think we have a legal leg to stand on.
I don't know. I guess it would be an intention to the board that it's not going to be done, that we would, if it was then.
Well, that liquor license has to be renewed if we grant it, you're going to have to grant it for next door then. Is that right, Richard?
How long, Mark?
Renew of
Whatever, I'm not going to recommend the license.
liquor code, state liquor code.
Trust him enough not to put it in the gambling
I was
machine.
gonna say, it's a established business, he's given us his word, and...
But we still can't vote on it tonight anyway.
If the other one's going to have it down to the day, not that far from the school,
Hopefully we can just vote and we won't have to discuss it again, maybe.
Can we, was it on the agenda?
Okay, we'll have it on the agenda for the next meeting.
All right, well, I think we've got a better sense of the issue for the council to consider, and it's my promise to you that we'll take a vote on this in the next meeting. Okay, thank you
for your time.
Thank you for
being patient.
for presenting in such a professional.
maybe we'll be on the tail end of the next time.
Yes, I apologize. I don't really have anything to update on the Boyle Ranch issue. Continue to keep that on our radar screen to monitor and make progress on. Richard, do we have anything on the Brown Shoe Factory settlement?
If they for the let me find it right here. And some check. So, and that, if I'm remembering correctly, it showed, it would have a
Probably a lot, if that's zoned, if it's zoned residential there, maybe not, but if it's zoned also commercial, the lot's worth that.
And I don't know
where the location is there. 'Cause that's, one block to the south of the Walgreens, the Walgreens on the east side of Carbondale.
Wall Street?
Yeah, I believe it is. Well, I started to say Wall, but I wasn't sure.
All right, but no other movement or communication from them?
No, we will keep pushing them for it.
Is there any way we could make them turn the wheels a little bit faster instead of going in reverse?
It would be to push them through the court case, letting them know we can't just keep...
Surely they've got to be in violation down there of some code where we could send them a nice and friendly letter stating that if something's not done in a certain period of time, that we're going to fine you or something like that. I mean, something just to, I'm not saying I'm wanting to pay a fine, but we need to jumpstart them or something.
I mean, I've said before, our leverage is either you tear it down or we will.
Then you... If it wasn't for the liability, I'd rather just tore it down with the contractor that we got, because I doubt, well, okay, thank you. More than I ain't gonna say.
All right, I have also just informational here, the downtown TIF district that we budgeted money to create this year. I have sent Keith Moran, who came and presented to the council about, contracting with the city to do that TIF development and to work through the details and help us coordinate the meetings and everything. Sent us a contract. I forwarded it to our attorney for his review. Mr. Blake reviewed it, got back to me. We did make a few small, revisions, typographical things. Mr. Moran was willing to eliminate any late charges or fees. There was some language in there, seeing as we had 2 meetings a month. He agreed not to charge us any penalty or anything for payment that was, a few days late. And he also agreed to the reduced cost, which was $27,900 that he agreed to in the contract as well. So I'm essentially just ready to execute this contract. I presume this is something that we wanted to thoroughly at budget time. So unless anybody has any objections, I'll sign that and get it sent back. Mr. Pitt?
Once we sign that contract, how long is the process?
I think last time it took approximately 6 months. I mean, because there's waiting periods, and public comment periods and things of that nature. So I could be wrong. It may have been a little quicker than that, but it wasn't much quicker than that. All right. I don't think I have anything else under the mayor's report. So I'll go to council member, or excuse me, we need to have an executive session to do our review of minutes. Everybody's favorite. Unless you want to hold it to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to willing to make a motion. So I'll go to council member request, Ms. Hughes. Ms. Curry Whitson. Mr. Brown. Mr. Voss?
Nothing tonight.
Nothing.
Clerk Hunsaker? Mr. Otis?
Well, I was gonna ask Harold, anything happened with the bishop in Elwood? I don't know anything about
The drive out there, the last we heard, Harold was trying to get a hold of them and make sure that everything was still moving forward on that.
I don't want to share too much here, but I know that one of the partners there had been dealing with some health challenges, and I think that had caused some delays and back.
Yeah, it seemed like it wasn't moving forward.
Right.
Correct. Thank you.
Mr. Brad?
Pass.
Mr. Brad? Mr. Pitt? Takes us to department head request, Attorney Blake.
Nothing.
Ms. Ripley? Ms. Tinsley?
No.
Chief Ellemeyer?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Officer Aaron Beavers. He went up north near Chicago this last weekend and attended the trooper that passed on the way up there, Trooper Christopher Lambert. He made the trip up and took part in the wake and everything, and on his own time, and represented the city and the department. Wanted to thank him for that.
Very nice.
That was very good. Mr. Manwaring?
Nothing.
Mr. Murphy? Kennedy?
Nothing.
Mr. Lee? I will mention that the Public Works guys, I appreciate both street and water, and maybe some sewer guys, I don't know who all pitched in, but they bolted to the culvert underneath the railroad tracks today and tore out the beavers dam that they had built and got the water flowing again, so.
Cool. Well, they're starting now the other side of the road, back up behind Bob's house. You notice that?
Yeah.
They're cutting them through down, going back there.
Mr. Stewart?
I'd just like to thank my guys, through these snowstorms and stuff. A week or so ago, those guys were down there almost the whole night, one night, keeping those bridge ways clean, and, last weekend they were down there a few hours, so this kind of weather, they're out most of the night, keeping those things open, so.
If I could add something, I'd like to, and I know Mr. Stewart appreciated, if you haven't been to our new sewer plant, you need to make a trip down there and look at it. And Mr. Stewart, I'm sure will be glad to explain stuff to you, because there's a lot of stuff I know that comes up, you wonder, well, what's that or what's this? And had I not been down there quite a few times, I wouldn't have known either, but it's quite a...
It's really interesting if you saw the overlay.
Yeah.
The largest single investment of money the city's ever made. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?